Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I greet you in the precious name of Jesus Christ. Today is a wonderful day. The sun is shining. It's October. I was born in August, and I suppose from my birth, I've had an anticipation of the beauty of fall. From August on, I began to look forward to what happens in the fall, the changes that are so robust and so beautiful. And in that I was born in a place where those changes are very evident. I think I am very sensitive to it. So from early childhood to now, I have loved the fall. I just do. For me, instead of it being a time of death, it is a time actually of life. I feel energized, like I want to get things done. And I want you to pray with me today as I pray with you concerning getting things done, having a right focus, being aware that God has told us he's coming back and Jesus Christ really is going to return. The Bible tells us so. So if we believe anything in the word, we really ought also to believe that. So I want to do something today that I hadn't planned to do it. Let's put it that way. But because I read it and it seemed to be such an important aspect in our Christian living, I decided that today on Conversations in Creative Evangelism, instead of talking directly about evangelism or stirring you up, trying to stir you up anyway, to reach out and be faithful, I'm going to come in sort of, I say, in the back door and try to encourage you in a different way that will lead, I believe, to leading a life that is always in progress and always focused on the calling of your life. So I got up this morning and it's late. You know, I retired some years ago and I do work, but I have leisurely mornings anymore. So my devotional takes me in well into the morning because I don't have to rush anymore. And I'm glad about that. So I spent a long time, very leisurely, really luxuriating in that free time that I have to read and to prepare and to pray and to study. So I'm in Matthew again. Now, the Lord had me in Matthew almost all the year long. And I got to tell you that I still have very much to reap from this very, very rich harvest of God's word in the Gospel of Matthew. And I know from studying it now that there's so much that I've missed all my life in reading it. And now I'm going back, even though I had a couple of books between it. I'm going back, and I was led this morning to read about the coming of Christ, the last days, as it is written in the book of Matthew. So I started in chapter 25. It's the parable of the virgins, and I want to read just verses 1 through 13, and it reads this way. Then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins, which took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom. And 5 of them were wise, and 5 were foolish. They that were foolish took their lamps and took no oil with them. But the wise took oil in their vessels with their lamps. While the bridegroom tarried, they all slumbered and slept. And at midnight there was a cry made, Behold, the bridegroom cometh. Go ye out to meet him. Then all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamps. And the foolish said unto the wise, Give us of your oil, for our lamps are gone out. But the wise answered, saying, Not so, but go ye rather to them that sell, and buy for yourselves. And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came. And they that were ready went with him in the marriage, and the door was shut. Afterward came also other virgins, saying, Lord, Lord, open to us. But he answered and said, Verily I say unto you, I know you not. Watch therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour wherein the Son of Man cometh. Now, guys, I know that you have, because I have, heard so many sermons on this parable. And probably you've accepted that the oil is the Holy Spirit. I certainly do. And that those foolish virgins were just, dilly-dallying. Maybe I don't really know how you took the teachings that you've heard. But I took it always with a big question mark in my mind. And I would never, ever ask anyone, because I just never thought I was that capable of breaking open the word, or even seeing into the scriptures such that I could question someone that I respected in that the way that, that they could do something I could not do. So I never really asked any questions about it. But this morning I asked the question, Lord, and the question's been with me all for years and years and years. If they were all virgins, which to me symbolizes purity, if they were all aware that the bridegroom was coming back, and if they all went out to meet him, why then were the foolish virgins caught off guard without oil? And why did they think they were going to go into the marriage if it was clear that if they weren't ready on time, they wouldn't go into the marriage? So I'm contemplating, and today is just the beginning. I'm going to continue to pray. You pray with me. You can call me back and tell me what you're thinking. You can see me on Facebook. I really don't like Facebook, but I do have a Facebook page, Phyllis Ledbetter. And you can call me. I give my number, so you can send me a text, 732-762-1510. And this is what came to me as I asked the Lord about these virgins. I had a memory of my school days from 7th grade till my third year of college, actually third year, somewhere in there. I did not like school at all. I hated school. So with regards to school, I was a great procrastinator. If I had an assignment, I would never do that assignment on time. Writing a paper, preparing for a test, I had never studied in my life. In elementary school, I managed to get all A's every year except in math, when I got B's, and sometimes I got an A. And my conduct was always A. I just never was in trouble, none of that. And hit 7th grade, and math and the magnitude of assignments and all that hit me. Well, having never done any homework, having always gone home after school to play, to be with my mother, to do the thing that was most important to me, and that was really be with my family, play with my sisters and brothers. And, for a while we had a little friend across the street. I would never study. I never studied, and I never did any homework that I recall, or if I did it quickly and was out and gone. And I had a natural aptitude for that early work. But that natural aptitude didn't hold when I was in 7th grade. And it isn't that my brain power changed. It is that the magnitude of the work changed. And so I had to mature to something that I had never been taught to do. And I'm just coming to that right now. I'm giving myself a little whatever credit, I don't know. But then, so my grades began to fall. And I recognized at some point that I needed to do this work. I needed to do homework and I needed to study. But I was not exercised in living like that. And so all through high school, I procrastinated. I put off and put off. And I didn't want to fail. I really didn't, because I was embarrassed to fail. I was embarrassed before my mother, my family, but definitely before my friends at school and the teachers. But I still failed. I would fail from time to time. I didn't always fail, but I did. On heavy things, I did fail. And so I went off to college with that same immature approach to achieving, right? So I'm just thinking through this parable, and I'm thinking about that. That's what the Lord brought to me. And so I analyzed what was going on with me at that time, because as much as I did not prepare, I always managed to pass almost all my courses, and I passed them well. I didn't pass math in the 9th grade. I didn't pass the second semester of it because I was in a TMAC program, and you had to take 5 tests every 6 weeks, and I would take 3. Once again, it's how I was not exercised in the matter of study. I had no habits for studying. If things didn't come naturally to me, I was actually lost, because you see, I performed very well in things that did come natural to me. And music came natural, foreign languages came natural, English kind of came natural. And on the other side of that, math, biology, history, though it comes natural. I had to read and study for tests and things, like memorize stuff, and I was hit or miss. So in my high school career, I failed second semester of algebra, 9th grade, and then I failed second semester of history, 10th grade, or the whole, I don't remember, whatever. I ended up taking those 2 courses over. And when I took them over, the thing that got me through big time was, again, not study, but it was going to class. I liked the teachers. I focused, and I almost had a photographic memory. So as long as I focused in class and did the work, I could come to a test and perform well. This is good. This is cathartic. I'm really, in this morning, I'm coming to grips with my person, with me, my own personality, my own failures and my shortcomings, and the lack that was allowed to develop in me because, I guess my parents thought that I was capable. And so they didn't do a lot of, pushing me forward. So now, how does that stack up or compare to what's happening with these foolish virgins? I think that those foolish virgins were very much like me, in that they knew, I knew, the test was coming. They knew the bridegroom was coming. I knew the paper had to be written, and that I had to read the book to write the paper, or whatever, do the research. They knew the bridegroom was coming, and that they needed oil to last them through the night when they would be out there sleeping, burning the lamps. And my assumption is they had to burn those lamps if they were sleeping outside waiting. Maybe they didn't. I don't know. The Bible doesn't tell me. I didn't go back to research, the patterns of life for these people when the bridegroom comes. I did that some years ago. I haven't done that this morning because I'm anxious to get this out of my head. And so they, like I, didn't prepare. And they wanted to go into the bridegroom, but they didn't prepare. So now I'm saying also, God knows my heart, if I want to do something, when I, at the last minute, attempt to get it done, why would he shut the door? Well, now this is what I believe the Lord has said to me. And I ask that you pray and you ask God to tell you, because what neither of us want to be, none of us, is foolish. And have that door to that marriage with Christ in eternity closed and not open. So now the Lord showed me that I didn't want to be embarrassed. It isn't that I cared about the subject matter. I didn't want to be embarrassed at a test. And so at the last moment, I would scramble to get the paper written, to get the thing done. I would scramble. And very often I wouldn't make it. I would go to the test, and very often I wouldn't make it. I would do those tests in the TMAC program, but I never quite made the number of tests that I needed to pass with the flying colors that I wanted. It wasn't that I did bad on the test. My instructor told me, you didn't take enough. You just didn't take enough tests. You were supposed to take 6. You took 3. What's up with that? Or 5 or whatever it was. These virgins went out to meet the bridegroom in full confidence that they were going to meet him. But their preparation to meet him had no bearing on how they went out to meet him. They instead thought that they could scramble at the end, take from the other virgins, borrow whatever they thought they were doing, and make it in. But at the end, it was not possible. They scrambled to get the oil so that they too could go into the marriage. But the door was shut. And the bridegroom said, I never knew you. Now, why do you think he would say, I never knew you? I believe it's because the same way I would scramble to get that subject matter done, the subject matter would say, I don't know you. You never tried to, you never studied. You never, you know nothing about me. And so you sit to take a test with me, but you don't know me. And I believe in my simplistic way that that's how we treat our relationship with the Lord. Many times we never mature to understand that real love is really getting to know the other person, really spending quality time, really preparing for every eventuality, really knowing that person. And so when we go out to meet Christ, what will he say to us? Will he say, I don't know you, because I've never been really up close and personal with him? Will he say, you are not allowed to come in because I don't know you? And okay, so I was a really, really good student in French. I was a really good student in music. I did very well in English, pretty good. But if I had tried to join the math club, the instructor would say, are you kidding me? You know nothing about this subject matter because you don't study. You have not prepared. When I became a dancer, a lot of this became very evident in my searching and looking back over my life. I wanted to dance, and so I did the prep work. Now, it wasn't just to dance. It was to dance a certain kind of dance. It was to perform on stage. It was to be a classical mover. And I went to that studio whenever I was required. I took all the classes despite my embarrassment about being there and not being able to do some of the things that were taught in the class, but I tried. And after class, I came out and I tried some more. So I didn't have to be in class to practice. I could be out of class and practice. And therefore, when it was time to perform, I usually gave a stellar performance. And I was guided and directed by the person who choreographed. It wasn't on my own that I did it. I did it because I wanted to be there. And so, let me tell you, if you can give to something like that, the eventuality is that you can also give to God. Guys, I'm going to stop right here. And then I'm going to come back on another day to finish this off, because I think there's so much in it. We need really to get acquainted with God and to know that there's a day coming when he is going to come back and call us into the marriage supper, where we will, it'll be the beginning of our eventual eternity. And so we have to make sure that we get it just right. It isn't good enough to have the lamps. It isn't good enough to have enough oil to burn for the night. It isn't good enough to know that he's coming. It isn't good enough to simply be the virgin. We must be the children born again in the kingdom, matured by God through Jesus Christ, living with his Spirit in us, guiding us, leading us, so that we are totally ready when he comes back. We don't have to borrow light from anyone, the oil that gives the light. Our lights are ablaze, shining, and we are totally prepared. I do hope that you will respond to me in some measure on this topic. I'm searching to find, finally, every answer that I've always had regarding the virgins. God bless you. Have a wonderful day, and I'll talk with you real soon.